The report is now here. It has dropped, and it might not have produced everything of what some Republicans hoped for. It is, regardless, devastating to the FBI, and to a degree, it does exonerate Donald Trump.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Durham report finally being released after almost 4 years to the day. Now, if you don't quite know what this is, or if you need a quick refresher, let's do that first. Then we're going to get into the findings of the report. Now, back in 2019, the former Attorney General Bill Barr appoints John Durham to investigate the origins of the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane, which was their investigation into Donald Trump and the Russian Federation to see if there was any kind of collusion, if Russia interfered in the 2016-2017 presidential election, and a few more things. This went from 2016 to 2017. In 2017, that's when Bob Mueller comes in, he takes over, and then it lasts 2 more years from 2017 to 2019. In 2019, Trump gets impeached the first time for the phone call to Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, I think the whole thing with Russia and Trump and all this stuff that the Democrats ginned up, obviously, is what led to the impeachment. Now, the second impeachment, maybe not so much, but still a little bit. The second impeachment was about the Capitol riot, but the Democrats still wanted to get Trump out of the way, some kind of way, all right? They knew that he might be able to run again, and they didn't want him to be out there. So the whole thing from the beginning, Crossfire Hurricane, the Mueller report, all this was to keep Trump out of the way. And the Durham report basically confirms what we all knew from the very beginning. The Democrats ginned this up. There was no Russia collusion, and the federales, the FBI, your Peter Strzok, Adam Schiff, all these people, they were biased against Trump, biased against people that support Trump. Remember the whole thing from Peter Strzok? I can smell the Trump supporters in Southern Virginia. Remember that? The Durham report confirms all that. Now, here's a quote from our main man, Ron DeSantis. He says, the Durham report confirmed what we already knew. Weaponized federal agencies manufacture a false conspiracy theory about Trump-Russia collusion. It reminds us of the need to clean house at these agencies as they've never been held accountable for this egregious abuse of power. Very good quote. And before I go any further, let's watch a clip from MS-13 DNC. I've not watched this yet. We're going to see it live. Maybe they're going to kind of be real a little bit like you people from CNN did at the very beginning, not really trying to give Durham credit or Trump credit, but still realizing that this report makes the federales look terrible and it kind of exonerates Trump. Let's see what they say over on MS-13 DNC. Without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
So John Durham's report is out. Durham was hired by Attorney General Bill Barr to examine the origins and conduct of the investigation into whether former President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign colluded with Russia. He lost the only 2 prosecutions that he brought to court, John Durham did. But now his report, which again was just released a moment ago, appears to be an appeal to the court of public opinion.
Is that what it's about, public opinion, or was he hired by the Attorney General to do this report? Like, I'm having a hard time being able to figure out. If the report made Trump look bad and said that he was a Russian agent, then you would not say the same thing. MS-13 DNC lady, I'm not sure who she is, but it doesn't really matter. Let's keep on going.
Joining me is NBC News correspondent Ken Delaney and our justice correspondent, and also our legal analyst, Barbara McQuaid. So, Ken, this was just released a moment ago. It was highly anticipated. What did we learn from it?
We're still trying to determine exactly what's new in here, Katie, as we go through this 300-page exhaustive report. But the argument that John Durham is making here is an argument that he's made before, which is essentially that he doesn't believe the FBI had the proper predication, was fully justified in opening that counterintelligence investigation codenamed Crossfire Hurricane.
They were not. Let's pause for a minute right here. The whole reason why the Crossfire Hurricane thing happened is because of false. First of all, they spied on Trump Tower unjustly during the campaign, talking about Trump Jr. was meeting with the Russians, talking about adoption, just random weird stuff, right? There was nothing there, nothing burger. Then they were talking about Trump tried to get some Russian girls to pee on the bed where Barack and Michelle Obama would sleep in Moscow. That was completely made up fan fiction. That was a thing that was paid for by Hillary Clinton's people. That's the whole Christopher Steele dossier. All that stuff came from the Democratic Party. That's what led up to Crossfire Hurricane. There was no reason to do it other than Democrats, the left, the deep state, the FBI, the federales wanting to get Trump out of the way. It's very simple.
Back in 2016 into the Trump campaign. He says that the FBI acted hastily and on uncorroborated raw information. And he says that there was other information, for example, about the Hillary Clinton campaign involving a foreign government that wanted to try to influence them, that the FBI didn't react to in similar ways. Now, what's one of the most important things to know about this report is that it is directly contradicted by a 2019 report by the Justice Department's Inspector General, which also looked into all these events and interviewed a lot of these people and concluded that the FBI was justified in opening that investigation, and also that those decisions were free of any political bias. I mean,
okay, so you're relying on the DOJ, on the FBI, on the federales to investigate themselves. Like, I'm kind of confused about what's happening. Like, ultimately, we know what this was. All of us knew it from the beginning. Even your man Jake Tapper said it. It exonerates Trump. It really does. It's the same thing that we have been saying for a while. It's things that are pretty obvious. Just like the whole C-19 thing. They're talking about, oh, it happened from a bat and a rat and a cat and a dog had a baby, and then the baby got sick and spread the virus to the whole world. Ridiculous nonsense that does not make sense to anybody listening to it. At a certain point, if it doesn't make sense, it's probably a lie.
Famously, some of the FBI agents, in particular one, Pete Strzok, had expressed a lot of bias and hatred and animus towards Donald Trump in texts that later became public. But he was one of a group of people who made the decision to open this investigation. And remember, it was based on a Trump campaign aide, George Papadopoulos, telling an Australian diplomat that the Russians had gone to the Trump campaign and said that they could leak information damaging to Hillary Clinton that would be helpful to the Trump campaign. And as you know,
so is that collusion? Even if that's true, is that collusion? I don't really understand. It's like, and what do they have on Hillary Clinton? If they have dirt on Hillary Clinton, then how did they get it? Did they hack her, or did she collude with them and some deals went wrong? Now they have that over her head. What's that got to do with Trump? It's weird.
As all our viewers know, at the end of this long road, the Robert Mueller investigation issued a report and found no evidence, or they couldn't establish formal coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia, but they found a host, dozens and dozens of troubling contacts between Trump campaign officials and Russian officials. And a Senate Intelligence Committee report, a bipartisan report, went even further and said that posed a counterintelligence risk to the United States. But now
But nothing there that was actually to the level of impeachment worthy, removal, any kind of charges, no nothing. It must not have been that serious. When you're talking about troubling contacts, I don't think that Trump had anything on his back that was to the level of Hunter Biden getting money from Ukraine, Burisma Holdings, the whole thing with the, what was that, Shokin, Victor Shokin, nothing like that. But you want to impeach him for a phone call to Zelensky. You impeaching them for that, but what about Joe Biden and his son, the crackhead Hunter, getting money straight from Ukraine, shaking them down, talking about, hey, if you don't fire this guy looking into the company my son works for, we're going to not give you $1 billion, straight threatening them, quid pro quo. Like, isn't that more egregious? That's public record. And then let's not talk about how you guys in the FBI and the mainstream media tried to censor the Hunter Biden laptop because it had information in there like that. You see, the federales go above and beyond to protect Joe Biden, his administration, but then when it comes to Trump, they just make things up to try and get him on, and still not successful. This report tells us all that. It's very simple.
Durham has come and he's investigated for 4 years. He's not charging any FBI officials with crimes, but he's saying in a report that he believes the FBI acted inappropriately and was gullible and accepted information that it should not have.
It's very simple. That's just what it is. So shout out to the Durham report. Now, I have one more thing to say. I think it's good that a report came out and it confirms what we already knew. But what your man at the very end there in that clip said is true. There won't be any charges, and that's unfortunate. Okay, you see what's going on here. Uncorroborated intelligence. Durham report torches FBI, DOJ for handling of Trump-Russia probe. I won't read the article. I'll just give you the headline, and I'll link to this in the description box. This looks good. It feels good to many of us, but at the end of the day, although the report shows that the FBI, the federales, did not like Trump, they were biased, they did not do their jobs efficiently or well intentionally because of their bias and hatred, although it shows that, how are you going to really charge them on that? So the question as I close is, what's going to happen? What's going to be the result? I don't really know. I don't think much. If there's no charges, then what is it? I think it's good for us to know as American people what's going on, to know what's happening with your government, to know how biased and corrupt that they can be against certain people. This could be a thing for the people who support Trump, people who support the Republican Party to rally behind and get a lot of these guys up out of office if possible. Some of your employees, but really more than anything else, management at high levels in the federal government, they got to go, because ultimately I think they're responsible for things like this. Your regular, average, everyday federale, like employee, your FBI employee, they're not really into all of this. They're just trying to do their job efficiently. But the leaders, management, those at the very top, they got a bias. They have people to answer to. They have people above them that they have to kind of act, quote unquote, properly for. That's a problem. And until you fix that, you're not really going to fix much. And I think the Durham report outlines as much, and at least we can celebrate that. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the Durham report? Have you read into it? Have you been following it for the past few years? What's your opinion about it? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This confirms what we already knew, kind of like preaching to the choir, quite honestly. And the only thing is that it probably won't be anything that happens, meaning nobody's going to go to prison over this, but it's just a matter of letting us as the people know, the people that vote, the people that pay taxes, letting us know what's going on. Just a little bit of transparency, really. That's the main thing. And to those who were not aware of what's happening, to those who were not aware of how corrupt the FBI is and was back then, now we know. So now going forward, you can make a decision. Do you want to vote for those who support stuff like this widespread corruption, outright corruption, this thing where it's completely biased and it's not a fair justice system? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.